Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Akshay Dongre, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India and Nepal review bilateral ties and boost cooperation in key sectors, launch cross-border digital payments and hands over 84 projects during Foreign Minister Shishir Khanal's visit to India. As ceasefire deadlock continues, American forces targeting Iranian drones and radar sites and Iran firing missiles at US bases in Gulf. Russia intercepts more than 300 drones over a 13-hour period as Ukraine launches its large-scale attack in the region. And in sports, India beat Bangladesh 3-1 in final to win SAFF Women's Championship title for 6th time. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Saturday held talks with Nepal's Minister for Foreign Affairs Shishir Khanal, who is on a 3-day visit to India from 5th to 7th June. Minister Jaishankar said that the relation between India and Nepal are built on a solid foundation of strong people-to-people contact, a shared cultural and religious heritage and mutual trust.
India and Nepal, we of course share a very special relationship, one which is built on a strong foundation of vibrant people-to-people ties, cross-border connect and shared cultural and religious traditions. It is anchored by shared trust, goodwill and mutual benefit. We collaborate closely to maintain security along our long and uniquely open border. Our two countries have always stood by each other in times of need. In the wake of the ongoing crisis in West Asia, the Middle East, we have ensured uninterrupted fuel supplies to Nepal.
Minister Jaishankar said that the present time offers an important opportunity to transform the direction of India-Nepal relations and realize the full potential of the bilateral ties.
And I want today to very clearly and strongly send a message of collaboration and cooperation. We believe that today there is an opportunity to decisively shift the trajectory of India-Nepal relations and to realize the full potential of our ties.
Both the foreign ministers of India and Nepal held warm and constructive discussions reflecting the unique and special ties between the two countries. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar handed over to Foreign Minister of Nepal 72 health facilities and 12 cultural heritage sector projects completed under India's post-2015 earthquake reconstruction assistance to Nepal. The ministers jointly launched the peer-to-peer linkage between Unified Payment Interface of India and National Payments Interface of Nepal for facilitating cross-border personal remittance between India and Nepal. The ministers witnessed the signing of MOU between Digital India Bhasini and Kathmandu University for co-creating national digital infrastructure for voice-first language translation platform. In a significant move to further boost the comprehensive ties between India and Indonesia, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia, Sugiono, is on a 3-day visit to India. The visiting leader will lead a high-level delegation to hold crucial discussion aimed at expanding the scope of cooperation across multiple strategic sectors. The highlight of the visit will be Joint Commission meeting expected to serve as a platform to further build a momentum for both nations to review the bilateral partnership. India's economy maintained a strong momentum in financial year 2026 despite the global uncertainty, geopolitical tensions and rising energy prices. According to data released by the National Statistical Office, India's GDP by 7.7% during the financial year, surpassing the government's own earlier estimate of 7.6%.
India's growth story remained resilient through financial year 2026, supported by strong domestic demand, healthy consumption, and robust investment activity. According to data released by the National Statistical Office on Friday, India's GDP growth accelerated to 7.8% in the January-March quarter from 8% in the previous quarter. This pushed the full year growth rate to 7.7%, higher than the government's second advance estimate of 7.6%.
Apart from the consumption-oriented sectors, if you look at the supply side of the economy, the manufacturing sector growth, which was very high in FY26, and if you look at the IIP infra goods, all these numbers are all also in light green to strong green. With data available, you might think that there's only 1 month of data for the new financial year. But remember, it is 2 months of data since the conflict broke out.
The secondary and services sectors emerged as key growth drivers, expanding by 8.8% and 9.3% respectively. Manufacturing, trade, transport, communication, and financial services recorded strong double-digit growth. On the expenditure side, both private consumption and capital formation registered growth of more than 7.5%, indicating sustained economic activity. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the figures, calling them a reflection of the strength of Indian economy and the success of ongoing reforms.
आज देश में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का जो इतना विकास हो रहा है, गरीब कल्याण को लेकर इतने बड़े स्तर पर जो काम चल रहा है, इन सारे प्रयासों का परिणाम है कि आज देश बड़ी इकोनॉमी में सबसे तेज गति से आगे बढ़ रहा है.
Officials say the strong performance came despite headwinds from the West Asia conflict and rising energy costs. They point to resilient domestic demand and strong investment activity as key factor behind the growth.
Capital formation has been extremely good, and which is a very good sign that shows that investment expectations are good, and investment ensures that future growth will also remain robust.
Economists say with broad-based growth across sectors, the latest GDP numbers underline the resilience of the Indian economy amid a challenging global environment. However, stressed the need for stronger private investment, productivity gains, and a broader recovery in consumption to sustain high growth levels. With GDP growth of 7.7% in financial year 2026, India continues to remain among the fastest growing major economies in the world. Bureau Report, DD India.
India and Mongolia share a strategic partnership anchored in shared Buddhist heritage and democratic values. Established in 1955, relations between New Delhi and Ulaanbaatar encompass major defense collaborations, capacity building programs, and India's vital assistance in constructing Mongolia's first oil refinery in the city of Shanshand, a project now valued at $1.7 billion to support Mongolia's energy independence. Tanvi Taneja reports from Ulaanbaatar.
To most Mongols, India is the land of Gautam Buddha and the revered lamas. Their ancient wisdom and peace have been passed on to posterity for generations. For centuries, Buddhist teachings that originated in India have shaped Mongolia's spiritual and cultural traditions. In modern times, Buddhism has been promoted by cultural and literary contacts between the people of both countries. As developing nations with strong growth potential and rising aspirations, Mongolia and India place their people-centric development partnership at the core of their bilateral engagement. More recently, New Delhi and Ulaanbaatar have collaborated on quick impact projects through which India-funded initiatives will contribute to grassroots development, strengthen energy infrastructure and support Mongolia's regional development goals in the years to come. The Mongol oil refinery project, being implemented with the support of the line of credit extended by the Government of India, stands as a flagship initiative and a vital component of Mongolia's sustainable energy strategy. DD India team travelled to the construction site of the country's first large-scale oil refinery being built in Sanshan Dere and Dornogobi province with the help of Indian assistance. According to project officials, more than 3,000 Indian workers, over 250 Nepali workers and more than 100 Mongolian employees are currently engaged at the site.
Our top management is committed to complete this refinery, and not only that, we are going an extra mile to see the Mongolian dream come true. Mongolia would become self-reliant with this project, and the dependency level from the neighboring countries would really come down.
What we are seeing here background, these are all 35 tanks. We are completed within one season, within working season, one season. Means it is only 7 months. We are completed, and in this harshable climate, this is our achievement.
The significance of this new project extends beyond its financial value. It will reduce Mongolia's heavy reliance on oil imports and enhance its energy security.
This project is for between India and Mongolia. It's such a precious project, and from Indian side also, I think it's a very expensive soft loan from Indian Exim Bank. We need some independence on the energy sector, so it's really good opportunity having our own refinery and also using our good to the final product. It's our opportunity, and it will change the game, yeah. And we are really happy participating in this project.
Wearing our safety PPE kits, we assess the worker conditions and emergency protocols set up at the plant.
यहाँ पे मुझे 1.5 साल हो गए, हाँ जी, और बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है यहाँ पे काम करके. हाँ जी, कंपनी मतलब हमारा बहुत देखभाल भी करती है, हमारी गवर्नमेंट भी बहुत सपोर्ट कर रही है. बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है हम लोगों को.
ये मंगोलिया का फर्स्ट इंडस्ट्री है. हम एक इतिहास रचने जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि मंगोलिया के डेवलपमेंट में जब भी जिक्र होगा हमारे देश का नाम जरूर आएगा.
भारत सरकार के द्वारा ही बनाई जा रही है मंगोल रिफाइनरी, तो ये एक तरह की हिस्टोरिकल है कि अदर कंट्री में भारत की पहली बार कोई रिफाइनरी प्लांट बन रही है.
The Mongol refinery project is a government-to-government initiative, but Hyderabad-based MEIL's country head Murli KBVS feels the project will be a game-changer not only for Mongolia but for Indian investments in the region.
Of course, it's a very big project for us, not even prestigious to our MEL and as well as to the country. As per the schedule, it is in 2028. We are moving ahead in that directions. Let us see what we can do the best to that project for the completion of the project for that schedule.
Okay. Upon completion, the refinery is expected to process 1.5 million tons of crude oil annually, producing gasoline, diesel, aviation fuel and LPG for Mongolia's domestic market. Another key aspect of the India-Mongolia Development Partnership are the educational projects supported by India. These include the India-Mongolia Friendship School in Ulaanbaatar and the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Centre of Excellence in IT Communication Outsourcing. Backed by India's Jal Shakti Ministry, Vapcos Limited is managing the ongoing development of this centre, also in Ulaanbaatar. These facilities, expected to be completed by the end of this year, aim to boost educational skills and technological infrastructure across Mongolia.
From schools and technology centers to capacity building initiatives, India is helping create opportunities for Mongolia's next generation. And it is these people-centric projects that are adding a new dimension to India-Mongolia strategic partnership. With camera person Saurabh Shukla, Tanvi Taneja in front of the Parliament building in Ulaanbaatar for DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Peruvians to vote in a high-stakes presidential runoff election on Sunday. Despite the global LPG price rise, India maintains one of the lowest price hikes in the world. Why food safety matters from farms to fork and every bite in between on the World Food Safety Day.
The task of diplomacy is to, in a sense, in a very literal sense, to serve the people. We want to see how do you contribute to trade, what are you doing in technology, how are you promoting tourism, so that you have to contribute to the economic growth and progress. The quality, the attributes which you look today for in an Indian diplomat are different than they were before. And that difference reflects the changes which have come about in the country, in the government, and a lot of it again goes back to that leadership, the motivation, the energy.
Welcome back, you're watching DD India Live. I am Akshay Dongre. Now moving on to the updates from US-Iran. The American forces struck Iranian Coastal Guard radar sites on Saturday after shooting down drones launched by Iran towards the Strait of Hormuz. The US military believed the 4 Iranian drones were targeting regional maritime traffic. US Central Command said on X that the US then struck Iran's surveillance sites in Goruk and Qeshm Island, both in the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian Foreign Ministry strongly condemned the US strikes on radar and coastal surveillance facilities. In a statement, the ministry said the US action broke an April 8 ceasefire and that such repeated violations showed Washington had no intention of reducing tensions. It warned that the United States would bear responsibility for the consequences of its illegal actions. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said it had attacked US bases in Kuwait and Bahrain in retaliation for US strikes and fired at 4 tankers trying to cross the strait without its permission. Meanwhile, Kuwait's army said on Saturday it engaged 7 ballistic missiles that passed over residential areas, resulting in material damage but no casualties. In Bahrain, sirens sounded and residents were urged to seek shelter. Kuwait and Bahrain have condemned the strikes. In a parallel conflict in Lebanon, several strikes were seen from Marion on Saturday, targeting different areas in southern Lebanon. 2 Lebanese officers and 1 soldier were killed on Saturday in an Israeli strike on military vehicle in south of the country. The Israeli military said it was investigating the incident. Later, the Israeli military said it targeted the vehicle after identifying it as a threat to its forces and receiving indications that Hezbollah was preparing to fire on Israeli troops from the area. Lebanon's army said on Saturday its Commander General Rodolphe Hailkal left for Pakistan at the invitation of Pakistani counterpart without giving any further details. Ukraine fired hundreds of drones at Russia early Saturday, leaving 1 person dead and setting an oil depot ablaze on the final day of country's flagship economic forum in St. Petersburg. Many drones targeted St. Petersburg, marking the 2nd Ukrainian attack on the city in less than a week. Ukraine's SBU security service said it struck the Kronstadt naval base and the Russian Navy's 15th arsenal in Leningrad region. The attacks also caused a fire at an oil depot in Uslyabinsk and left 1 person dead in Tver region due to the drone debris. According to local officials, the attacks came a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin rejected a meeting proposal from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who accused Putin of choosing war again. Russia's defense ministry said air defenses intercepted and destroyed over 300 drones across 13 regions, including Moscow, over a 13-hour period. More than 140 were shot down over the Leningrad region. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Friday he currently saw no reason to meet Volodymyr Zelensky after the Ukrainian president published an open letter proposing they hold face-to-face talks to agree an end to a war now in its 5th year. In his letter, which was sent to other countries including the US, Zelensky said the majority of Russians had grown tired of Ukrainian missile and drone attacks, high inflation and fuel shortages, and were ready for peace. Speaking at Russia's annual economic forum, Putin dismissed Zelensky's open letter as rude.
I don't see the point in meeting Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. There is only point in this meeting for the Ukrainian side to stop the advance of our armed forces. That's all. But we need agreement not for 6 months, not for 3 months, but for the long term. Let's the expert work, develop some solution, and then we can meet, witness the signing of some documents or even sign something. But first we need to find a solution.
Peruvians head to cast poll to ballot in presidential runoff election on Sunday. Meanwhile, Peru's electoral authorities deployed electoral material on Friday, 2 days before the country's second round vote, sending 217 trucks carrying ballots, voting booths and other supplies to 2,253 voting centers across Lima and Callao under police escort and satellite monitoring. Electoral officials oversaw the operation while the Ministry of Defense deployed an additional 2,700 military personnel, bringing the total security forces assigned nationwide to over 45,000 troops to protect voting centers, safeguard election material and support a secure voting process. Voters chose between Kiko Fujimori and Roberto Sanchez in the presidential runoff election. US President Donald Trump remains in excellent health. His physician said in a memo released by the White House. The memo cited results from an examination this week that indicated Trump continues to experience slight lower leg swelling and benign hand bruising. The memo did not address the reason for skin treatment in March on the president's neck and did not indicate he underwent another magnetic resonance imaging exam as he did in October. Trump's Tuesday visit to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center was closely watched as the White House in the past year had to detail several of the president's health conditions after pictures revealed at times swollen ankles, bruised hands and a blotchy neck. Shortly after the visit, Trump said everything checked out perfectly. The price of the LPG cylinder is being raised by only 29 rupees per cylinder despite the massive rise in international LPG prices and the losses being borne by the PSU oil companies. A beneficiary of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana pays an effective 642 for a 14.2 kilogram cylinder and the general consumer in Delhi 942 against a cost to supply that now has risen to around 1600 to 1700. As up on your screen is the table showcasing that how Indian household continues to buy cooking gas much cheaper than the household in any neighboring country and far below the prices paid in advanced economies such as the US, Australia and Canada. About 54% of India's LPG consumption was routed through the Strait of Hormuz, leaving the cooking gas supply directly exposed to the disruption. India was among the few that kept its energy cargoes moving. There has been no shortage of any petroleum product and bottling and distribution have continued normally across the network. A range of measures were taken to secure supply through the disruption. On the supply side, domestic LPG production was raised by more than 60% from about 32 TMT to about 52 TMT. To offset the constrained imports, sourcing was simultaneously widened to suppliers across the world, including those that do not route through the strait, such as the US, Canada and Algeria, and available LPG was directed to household and to priority users such as hospitals and educational institutions. The Indian football team beat Bangladesh 3-1 in the SAFF Women's Championship final in Goa to clinch their 6th title of the South Asian tournament. Pyari Zaza, Sanfida Nongrum and Linda Com scored for India, while Ritu Porna Chakma netted for the visitor in the summit clash. The victory marked a record-extending 6th championship crown for India, but the first since 2019. Bangladesh had claimed the last 2 editions played in 2022 and 24. The goal in the final was only one India conceded throughout the tournament. The Blue Tigers scored 18 goals in 4 matches so far. Every bite we take tells a story of farms, farmers, markets and meals. But hidden in that journey from farm to fork is a silent concern: food safety. We often focus on taste, flavor, nutrition or presentation, but how many times have you taken into account that the safety measured while gulping down that scrumptious bite? A simple lapse in hygiene or storage can turn a delicious meal into a dangerous one, causing health concerns. World Food Safety Day, observed on 7th June every year, throws light on preventing, detecting and managing foodborne risks. Here's more in this detailed report.
In a world where global food supply chains are growing more complex, ensuring food safety is no longer a kitchen concern. It is a public health priority. According to the WHO, an estimated 600 million, almost 1 in 10 people in the world, fall ill after eating contaminated food, and 420,000 die every year. Established by the United Nations in 2018, World Food Safety Day is observed annually on June 7th to draw global attention to prevent, detect and manage foodborne risks. The theme this year, From Burden to Solutions, Safe Food Everywhere, highlights how data on illness and lost lives can guide action towards focused and cost-effective solutions. Food safety in India is regulated by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, which enforces science-based standards through rigorous inspections, licensing and hygiene audits of food businesses. Authorities conduct targeted inspections, particularly during festive seasons, and take strict action against violations through penalties, license suspension or prosecution. Supporting enforcement is a robust network of over 240 NABL accredited labs, more than 300 food safety on wheels mobile testing labs, food testing kits for swift detection of adulteration and strengthening food safety surveillance across the country. Unsafe food not only jeopardizes public health but also hinders economic development and weakens food systems. The day is a call to action for governments, producers and consumers to share the responsibility of making food safe for all. Preeti Kaur, DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here. Thanks for watching.